Hello and welcome back to the Full-Thrive YouTube channel. You know, one of the challenges of being a freelancer is getting paid and sending invoices. And I teach the freelancers in our Facebook group all about making sure they get a deposit paid up front. But if you're on Upwork, that might be a little tricky. In this video, I'm going to share with you exactly how to turn an hourly project into a project-based, how to get milestones funded before you even get started. I'm going to show you all about the different payment structures and how to communicate with a sense of urgency that make sure that your client understands the value of paying a deposit and getting started right away. Get ready, it's coming up. All right, so let's talk about some pricing or payment structures. How can you get paid? I've covered about getting paid, but I'm going to show you, let's run through this so that we can then talk about getting a deposit. So there's lots of ways to get paid. Guys, there's lots of ways to get paid. Hear me. There are a lot of ways to get paid. You decide how you want to get paid. Most people are like, well, I'll charge hourly and as I, accrue my hours or I incur them, then I'll send them an invoice and they'll pay it. Okay, fine. That's traditional. If you're on Upwork, that's pretty much how Upwork likes to run it. You could charge for prepaid blocks of hours, 5 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours. You may give a discount for 20 hours. And so if you're normally $50 an hour, maybe it's $45 if they buy 20 of them upfront, prepaid. You may have a retainer agreement where you just know 15 hours a week and I might work 20 some hours and 10 another and you just decide, but it's still hourly. It's on an hourly basis rate, would be in a retainer agreement. If you go by project fees, there's lots of ways to divide this up too, but I generally divide it up by when I deliver things. When I do the work and I turn it over, then I get paid incrementally. Okay, I'm going to show you in great detail what I mean by this. Or I've recently shifted into timeline. And I'm going to give you clear examples of my proposals and my emails of how I switched from deliverables to timeline and why we did that. Right? Now, in particular for Upwork, I'm just going to kind of reiterate this in a different way. Two options, basically hourly or project-based. That's how you get paid on Upwork. And you get to decide. Well, in conjunction with the client. Most freelancers that are kind of new to Upwork think that you can only work hourly. Not true. Even if the client posts the job hourly, you can turn it into a project-based working arrangement. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how I do that, okay? When you do projects, Upwork likes you to have milestones. You can have milestones by deliverables, like I just said, when you deliver a specific project or a piece or whatever, you can get paid after every time you deliver something. Or you can just have milestones by date, which is what I've switched over to this year, which is like every 2 weeks, I'm going to invoice you, regardless of where we are in the project. As long as you're clear with your client up front, and I'm going to talk about that, you can divide your Upwork payments however you want, as long as you communicate that and it's clear with your client. Is that helpful? Is that news to you? Is that like, again, if you're watching the replay, I want to know like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was possible. I think that when you're getting started on Upwork, you literally think you are a minion, right? To the man, like that Upwork is the end all be all in charge of everything. Oh my gosh, you can get so creative. You can like use that platform to your benefit. And until you start thinking about what is the best way for me to work? What is the smartest way for me to work? What will make it easy for me to communicate to my clients? And then you can kind of manipulate Upwork to fit that for you. So I'm hoping that this just introduces some new perspectives. In this live training, I can't go into specific detail for every single freelancer based on what you do. What I'm hoping to do here is to expand, blow your mind open to the potential and to going, maybe I need to be more strategic. Maybe I need to think about this differently. Maybe I need to, switch from hourly to project-based. I didn't know that was possible. So I just want to open up some of the potential that's out there. All right, this one came about as I was preparing for today's session. How do you decide? Like, how do you break this up? I've already touched on it, but I want to run through it again so that you get a little bit more specifics. So if you are hourly paid, are you doing hourly payments? Again, we talked about a prepaid block of hours. Maybe it's 5 hours, 10 hours, 15 hours. So you can say, hey, I only work in blocks of hours. And, here's my packages for my blocks of hours. Or you can get paid after the work is done. You can say, every time I hit 5 hours, I'm going to submit an invoice on Upwork, or whatever. Or every 10 hours, I'm going to send you an invoice. So that way the client knows when they're hitting a threshold, there's no surprises. They're like, oh, shoot, we're at 10-hour mark, okay? Or maybe every week or every month you just get paid on the hours that are completed. This one is probably the one that most people are used to, but if you think about it, the client could be really surprised if you don't keep them, updated on your hours. And there is running a risk. You've done all the work and now you're waiting to get paid. And I just don't think you have to do that these days. I think that you can get paid front-loaded for the work that you do as long as you're really good at delivering and communicating. Okay, so that's for hourly payments. For projects, I know a lot of you like to divide your projects into milestones. So maybe there's 2 milestones, 3, 4, 5. Reason why I write all those numbers down is because, oh my gosh, I have done all of those numbers as I've experimented and played around with my own business. My first couple years, the projects that I did all had 5 kind of stages. I delivered them in 5 stages. So my proposal was 5 milestones, my invoices, and I'm going to show you some really old proposals I sent. Okay. And what I did is I just divided them into equal payments, and every time I delivered something, I would invoice them. To this day, I still like that exchange of, here is your wireframe. We review it, and then I send them an invoice. And I think clients feel really good about that because they've gotten the delivery and they're happy with it, and then they get hit with an invoice right after. So usually, again, they'll pay me within hours, 24 hours. The new way that I'm working, is that I know what my timeline is for projects. I've been doing this long enough. Guys, if I can pitch you, again, the power of narrowing down your niche, creating a signature process that helps you know or have much more consistency on how long projects take you, you then can streamline your invoicing, streamline your payments, your discovery calls go faster, your proposals go faster. I cannot impress enough how important it is to get a good handle around a great process that you can take people through. I'm going to talk to you about this at the end. But I can only do this because I really only do one thing with clients. I do website copy, and we do it in stages. I know exactly how long it takes me or how long it should take a client. So when you know what your timeline is, you can divide it into payments, over days or weeks or whatever, and automatically invoice them as long as you tell them up front. This is how it's going to be. And I'm going to show you an exact example from a client I just worked with. All right. And then lastly is this hybrid model. So, and I'm not suggesting you should use this. Man, if you're getting a 50% deposit, go with your bad self. That's awesome. Like, rock on with it. Okay. I have chosen to move to a 30%, 30%, 30% every 2 weeks. The 30% is upfront, the first one. Then in 2 weeks, you get the second invoice at 30%. In 2 weeks, you get the third invoice at 30%. And then I hold on to the last 10% until the very end of the project. It's a small amount. It's not a big deal. Even if they didn't pay the last invoice, I will have covered my costs. you for watching. And if you are looking for more about freelancing, how to find clients you like, do work that you love on your own schedule, check out our videos. Make sure you subscribe so you always know when the next video drops. And we have a free Facebook group called the Full-Thrive Freelancers. We'd love to see you there.